everyone, it's Jenna and Andy from A Couple Travelers. We are coming to you from Sandals Royal Curaçao. It is unfortunately the end of our vacation. We did have an awesome time, but now that we are at the end of our vacation, we just wanted to share with you our initial thoughts of Sandals Royal Curaçao, knowing that it is a brand new resort.
If you are coming to Sandals Royal Curaçao in the next month or so, we do want to provide a little bit of an update as to the status of the resort, as it is not 100% complete. So if you are interested in that, stay tuned toward the end of the video. We're going to get into that, but we know people will be searching for this video for probably years to come. So the majority of the video is just going to be on the overall thoughts on the resort and our experience. And then at the end, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of what it's like to come in the very near future.
First takeaway is that the staff is amazing.
The interesting thing is that Sandals actually, for the opening, brought like veteran staff members from Sandals properties all across. So we met a lot of people from St. Lucia and Jamaica and Barbados and just a lot of the different properties. And some of them are here for a couple of weeks, some are here for 6 months with the possibility of it extending to a full year. So they are here, they're giving great service, and they are training the local Curaçao staff to be at that level. So every single interaction that we have had, everyone is so helpful, so friendly. Many have recognized us from our videos, which is really weird. And so we had like great conversations with them, and we've had a wonderful time talking with the staff.
So a few shout outs to the staff who are just a very few members of the staff who we've met. O'Shane, Aziz, Stania, Gwangelo, Gavin, Wayndell, Dale, Shanice, and Sharifa. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone.
Seriously. You really made the trip.
100%.
So let's kind of like start with our thoughts on the actual resort. So Sandals purchased a resort that was here, and they made some upgrades. So they renovated a lot of the rooms. Some things you can tell are still part of the initial rooms that they kept, but they renovated rooms. They added swim-up pools. They added these seaside bungalows. They added the Curacao Island suites, and there was a very small pool here. They got that out and they created the Dos Agua infinity pool, which is probably my favorite pool that I've ever been in. I mean, we loved the pool at Sandals Grand Antigua. We loved the pool at Sandals Royal Barbados. I mean, 2 levels, the swim-up pool bar, the views of the ocean, like,
I mean,
it's
Sandals knows
wonderful.
how to do pools.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they invented the swim-up pool bar.
Right.
I love that fun fact.
I
love that.
Yeah.
But the pool is amazing. Love the island of Curaçao. And how beautiful, how colorful the buildings are. If you're here, make sure to go and check out Willemstad. I wish we saw it like by boat. I wish we actually could have walked, on the Queen Emma Bridge and everything. But the island is beautiful, and the resort is, although it's not 100% finished because we're here in the first 2 weeks, there's still landscaping that needs to be done. They're still finishing up some rooms and everything, but I think when this is done, it's going to be a contender for one of the top Sandals resorts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's tough for us to say if it's the best Sandals resort because that's subjective, and we've only been to 2 other islands prior to this. But I definitely agree. I think it's a contender. It's a very large resort too, so just keep that in mind if you're coming on a vacation. Like, if you don't mind, taking 10 to 15 minutes to walk from one end of the resort to the other, like, that's a possibility depending on where you're coming from and going to. It's about 3,000 total acres, so they have a lot of land to work with.
They actually offer bikes if you want to like go around and check out the property. But in terms of the actual resort, is pretty condensed. It's a very long resort, but it's not deep. So it's basically like just like one set of buildings, like all the way down, and pretty much 10 to 15 minutes to walk from one end to the other. So if you have like mobility issues, you might want to make sure that you book a room kind of near the central hub, near the main pool. A lot of the restaurants are here, the gift shop, the lobby, photo studio. A lot of it is here, and there are rooms in this area. So that's just one thing. You don't want to be in the Mele buildings, which are way down at the end if you have mobility issues. So just something to keep in mind.
The next takeaway is that the dining is great. I mean, it's tough to say because the food was so good. Again, like, it's all subjective. Sandals Barbados and Sandals Royal Barbados had the most dining options.
They had 19, and I think now they have 21 because they opened 2 new dining concepts there. So that was That was just, you had such a different array. There's a good variety here in terms of restaurants. Barbados, it was just like, you just had so many options.
Yeah.
But like, you'll never get to try them.
Not to say that this food is bad.
No,
I
this food
think
was delicious.
We're just, I mean, I guess we're looking at it, we're talking about it from a variety. Like, when you have that number of restaurants, like, yes, that's just an enormous variety of places to eat. You still have a decent amount here. Like, you have your more traditional French restaurant, you have an Italian place, you have your Butch's Steakhouse, which we were lucky enough to try. You have a Latin American fusion place. So like, there is a variety of cuisines that you want to have. So they advertised 8. When we were here at the start of our trip, only 6 of them were open, so they're still working on both Butch's and Canal. Canal is like the quick wine and cheese bar, coffee, pastry shop.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Cafe de Paris at some of the other resorts. As of last night, our last night here, they did have Butch's start its soft opening.
Right.
So we were lucky enough to try that. So as of the recording of this video, there are 7 of the 8 restaurants open. They're still working on Canal, but you know, I would say if you are here in the next, month or so,
that should be up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said they think it's opening in the next week or so that's good. But if you've been to other Sandals resorts in the past, this dining is pretty much all new concepts except for Butch's. So like, at most restaurants you find like a soy. The sushi here is gatsu, and like most you have a Cafe de Paris, they're gonna have the Canal. Like Dutch coffee shop. So like, they've really reinvented their dining options for this resort, and everything that we had, we've really truly enjoyed.
Yep.
And so it was a bummer that we never got to try Canal, but I think there's a good variety here and the quality is good. So it's great that they were kind of branching out and trying some new concepts.
All of the restaurants are amazing, like, venues themselves. Like, Alos is right on the water, great spot for breakfast or dinner.
Yep.
You have the food trucks as well, we forgot to mention those.
Oh yeah, love the food trucks.
That's a relatively new concept for Sandals. The Zuka interior,
I think that was
is
my
amazing.
favorite.
We ate there our first night, and the wait staff was great, the food was great. So maybe not as much of a variety as you'll find at some of the other resorts, just depending on what you prefer, but still a great dining experience here.
Exactly. So we've actually been getting a lot of questions and seeing a lot of people ask online about the beach, because a lot of people who come to Sandals are beach people, and it's very important that they walk on the beach, they have a great beach, they have waves, etc. I mean, we are not beach people, we're more pool people. I think we went to the beach for a total of 20 minutes.
Still good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, but we could care less about the beach, basically. But we do want to mention a lot of the ocean, because it's a very long resort. You're on the ocean the entire time. A lot of it is not swimmable. So like, when you see photos, you're like, oh my god, look at all that beach. A lot of it's not swimmable. A lot of it is just like you're looking at it because it's very rocky. So if you're in those Awa seaside bungalows, you have your own infinity pool. You're on the beach, but you cannot walk out of your bungalow and go in the ocean.
Right.
You can walk on the sand and enjoy like the beach area, but you're not going in the water. There is one section of the beach that is swimmable, and there is a pier. So basically, you can't go out very far.
Right.
So that kind of deterred us from doing some of the water activities, because it just seemed so like, I don't want to be kayaking by somebody who's like hanging in the water. And then I heard that the hobby cats have to be lifted over the pier. Somebody said they saw it lifted. So like, I didn't want to go be like, okay, please lift this heavy thing over the pier so that I can take it out to go on the hobby cats.
I mean,
that's what
they
do.
obviously thought about it, because they like, a big part of Sandals is your activities that are included. And so if they want to offer that as a part of your vacation,
because we love we've done I think we've done pretty much everything besides,
not on this trip, but
not
in
on
general.
this trip, but at Sandals.
So I commend them for offering it and like saying, we just need to make it work and we'll do it. as opposed to just like saying we're not doing copycats, right? But yeah, it's just a consideration because it's the beach that Jenna's talking about as well. It's not actually on the ocean. So if you look at like a map of the resort, the resort is kind of on a corner, not a peninsula really. The part right behind us, that the infinity pool faces out on, that's the ocean. And then if you turn to your right, if you're in the infinity pool, the resort kind of goes into or the water goes into like an inlet, a canal that goes back to a larger harbor where they have a lot of like fancy homes and everything.
So there's no like waves coming in.
You do get the wake from the boats that come through, but no waves like you would see.
Yeah.
From an
Which is
an
fine
ocean.
because the people there's still a lot of people enjoying the beach.
Yeah.
There's a lot of seats over there, and then they have like kind of anchored a bunch of these like yellow floaty things. So like people climb on those and hang out. They still seem to be very much enjoying the beach, but it's not the typical beach like we had in Antigua and the one in Barbados and the one that's at most Sandals resorts. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. I wouldn't say that it honestly did not impact our trip at all.
Nope.
I don't think it should deter you from this awesome resort, but I do want to set expectations because when you look at the photos, you're like, look at all that ocean. The swimmable part is pretty small. So just wanted to make sure you keep that in mind.
Like we said at the top of the video, we do want to talk about the overall opening of the resort that we experienced both prior to arriving at the resort and then during our time here.
So the resort opened on June 1st, and within the next couple of days, we saw a lot of posts online about we showed up, a lot of rooms not being ready, lots of construction happening, a lot of landscaping not being done, 2 major restaurants not being open and ready yet, etc. So we started to honestly just get very nervous, and we still wanted to come because we wanted to show this. We wanted to cover the opening. We wanted to get resort tours and get information for everybody who is traveling soon and traveling in the future. We wanted to check out the new resort. So we came. We were kind of expecting that when we arrived that somebody would sit down and be like, okay, here's the deal. We're not ready. It's not a grand opening at this point. And here's what we're doing about it.
Right.
We arrived, nothing was mentioned. And so that was honestly the kind of shocking part. And also we were a little disappointed that we didn't receive any information from the resort before we arrived, because I actually had clients arrive a few days before me, and they were celebrating their 30th anniversary, and it was a bit of a disappointment that a lot of things weren't available, and what they paid for is not what they were getting. And Sandals has fully compensated people, but the thing that we really took issue with was, don't make that decision for people. We wish if they would have sent an email before saying, here's the status, do you want to postpone, do you want to move to another resort, or if you want to come, here's what we can do for you, here's how we will compensate you for the unfinished resort. Just wish that there was more upfront communication, and don't wait for, we felt like we had to approach them and say, hey, why is this happening and what are you going to do about it, as opposed to them being proactive.
And this is not a reflection on, at least to our knowledge, as to anybody who really works here. I mean, the decision to open a resort is made at the leadership level of Sandals. I mean, it's again unfortunate that the staff who again are stellar here had to take a lot of the brunt of this feedback. That when we saw, we sat down and spoke with people. We saw other couples do it. Other couples who we spoke to said they heard about other couples having those conversations. The overall vibe now is that if you don't address the elephant in the room, which is the fact that you were not at 100%, you were making the situation worse by trying to brush it under the rug. Essentially, like Jenna said, I mean, it's just communications and PR 101. It's not an easy thing to do when you have your overall brand image is about this perfect vacation and everything is so well polished and the service is great. And the service was great, but the actual product of your resort is not fully there yet. And you need to acknowledge that, because again, to Jenna's point, you can't make that decision about people's vacation for them.
I mean, we knew to expect issues coming this close to an opening. We did not expect so many. Even if you're coming in July of 2022, which is like 2 weeks from now, it is going to be a completely different
They're
resort.
moving very quickly.
Very quickly. I mean, even guests who were like wrapping up their trip when we arrived told us, like, all of a sudden one day, like the day before, no palm trees in this area, and then the next day, 12 palm trees. So like they are moving fast. Even in 4 days, we've really noticed a big difference. Gorgeous resort. Honestly, we still had a fabulous time, but if you are still coming in the next week or two, there's still going to be landscaping stuff not done. They're still finishing up a couple of rooms. Canal is still not open at the meantime. Butch's is in a soft opening right now. So just like overall, the biggest takeaway, there should have been communication from Sandals before people traveled. There should have been a conversation when we arrived, when all guests arrived, as to the status and letting us know what you were doing about it. And also, it should have been phrased maybe a soft opening, like maybe a June soft opening, July grand opening, something like that, just to set expectations. Because that's the problem when you're looking at all of these beautiful renderings and all of these like promises almost, and it's the Sandals name that carries a lot.
And that's not just us. You know, other guests who we spoke to said if Sandals had taken that approach of just managing expectations and saying June 1st is a soft opening,
automatically right there, you know, stuff isn't going to be done.
Just keep that in mind if you are coming here in the next, you know, I will just say the near future.
But if you're watching this video in toward the end of 2022, if you're watching this in 2023, like honestly, the resort will be done and it will be beautiful.
That's just the high level, you know, overview of you know, the opening process, if you will. Again, our key takeaways are our key takeaways. They might not be the same takeaways that you have, but overall, we did have an awesome vacation. Thank you again to the staff here. You guys are incredible. We can't wait to hopefully see some of you here again or back at your home resorts. But more Sandals Royal Curaçao videos coming to the channel, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss those. We'll have a resort tour, we'll have room tours, we'll have daily vlogs, we'll have a food overview, so lots of great Sandals stuff coming your way. But that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on social media at A Couple Travelers.
And until next time, keep traveling.